because it is far more difficult to write a shitty book than to record a shitty podcast. Hello and welcome to the Digital Pragmatism podcast with Gosia and Jerzy. I am Gosia less today, but nevertheless I'm gonna share with you how we watch media in our family. But first, minimal news. What happened last week that reached us even if we are off social media and don't consume news? Nothing. I am completely overwhelmed, so basically no news, no time for news. And in our family, nothing really special happened, so sorry, no insights. So, how do we watch media in our family? I have divided this episode into 8 bullet points. And here we go. The first point is you should be aware of the fact that the platform is the message. It means that if you use Twitter, you should be probably accustomed to the way how Twitter works. And basically, if you need to read in-depth analysis, you won't probably find them on Twitter, Twitter is 480 characters, and basically that's it. It's short form, it will be very triggering, it will be meant to cause discussions and to cause aggression, verbal aggression, of course. And in the same way, if you look for very deep entertainment on TikTok, well, you probably won't find any because of the limit of the length of the videos and of the fact how you consume media on TikTok. On which platform you consume media will determine the experience you have. If you use Netflix, for example, you will probably be forced into a binge-watching habit, whereas if you choose DVDs, like we do, you will have a beginning and an end to the consumption of what you put into the DVD player. And so we have consciously chosen not to use TV and not to use radio and not to consume media from streaming services because the platform is the message. And why no TV and no radio, you might ask? Well, it's because TV and radio are not entertainment devices since a long, long time. We have basically ditched our radio and our TV 10 years ago. And for two reasons, basically. One, it's a vehicle for advertisement and for news, and we don't like advertisement because we like to take decisions about what to buy, not based on the ad we saw many times, but rather on our needs and our analysis and this kind of stuff. And also no radio because radio is the vehicle for news, basically, and for ads also, but pretty much for news. Every 15 minutes you have a news flash and you know what the news is communicating to you, basically. It's bad news. You're gonna die because there is a volcano that erupted on the other half of the earth 15,000 kilometers from you. We didn't want to lose time on something that is giving very mediocre entertainment as far as quality goes, and that is also plagued by advertisement and news. We did not want bad news into our lives because we rather want to be worried by something that happens in our vicinity than by something that happened at the other end of the world. And also by not using streaming services and by not using radio, by not using TV, we basically restrict the amount of media we can consume to a very intentionally chosen few. And we also use something that I call the rule of effort, which is something that I mentioned for the first time in my personal work productivity course, which basically consists to consume this kind of media that required from its author a lot of effort to produce. If you are torn between listening to podcasts and listening to audiobooks, choose audiobooks. Why? Because the effort put into writing a book and then into recording this book is far greater than the effort put into recording a podcast. And the same goes if you want to choose between a series a movie that was shot for the theaters, better to choose a movie that was shot for theaters for the same reason, because it required more effort to produce it, and it required also more effort to build a story. So you will have a complete journey that will be served to you. You will have a beginning, a middle, and an end, whereas with the series, it's not always the case. And last but not least, basically, if you have a series, it's optimized to take a lot of time from you in order to know the story, in order to know the people that play a role in this story. Whereas in a movie, well, it will be maybe 2.5 hours, and that's it. But the rule of effort is very important, because it is far more difficult to write a shitty book than to record a shitty podcast. So which media do we actually use? Well, we are using media that requires effort from its authors to produce. We don't use radio, we don't use TV, we don't use streaming services. For listening to music, we use vinyl records. We have also a collection of CDs. As far as movies goes, we use DVDs and not Blu-ray, but old school DVDs, because there's far more movies on a DVD than on a Blu-ray. And we don't really have a requirement for higher image quality, because we are not using a TV, since we don't have a television. We use a projector, a 24 frames per second projector that uses light to project an image onto the wall. And that means that watching media in our family, it's a ritual. If you want to listen to a song, you have to take the vinyl record out of its sleeve. You have to put it on the turntable. You have to turn on the turntable. You have to turn on the phonostage. You have to turn on the amplification unit. And you have to enjoy the experience, because if you want to play the third song on the album, you have to put the needle on the third groove. It's all meant to enjoy what will happen. It's the same way you enjoy less the travel when you travel 10 kilometers in the air via a plane, and you enjoy more the travel if you use a bike or a motorbike. You get the idea. If we want to watch a movie, we do exactly the same thing. We don't use streaming services. We take DVDs out of their boxes, and so we have to decide which DVD we will watch, which movie we will watch. The movie has a beginning and has an end. And at the end of the movie, no algorithm is saying to us, you have 3 seconds in order to get up and go away. If not, you will watch another episode. This is obviously what happens on streaming platforms. And we like it this way because we are in control of what is happening. We have a collection of DVDs. If there are DVDs that we don't watch, we can sell or give them away. We just keep the movies that are important for us. We are still able to research new movies, to show new movies to kids, to share that, but not at the expense of being completely stuck with the decision. If you turn on Netflix, turn on Disney Plus, turn on something, a streaming platform, you are basically faced with the dilemma what to choose. And you can, of course, rely on the algorithm in order to choose something. But a lot of the times you have to scroll, you have to decide. The kids have also their opinions. They are negotiating. They sometimes have divergent opinions on what to watch, obviously. When choosing a DVD, you are skipping all of that. Basically, you are skipping the algorithm. You are skipping the negotiation phase. The family has a bookshelf of DVDs, basically, to choose from. A lot of the times we don't find anything. We just don't watch movies. We go outside, we go on a walk, we do something else. And it's environment that is shaping how we consume media. It's an environment that we have shaped this way, obviously, in order to have a good quality experience. The same way, if you like movies, you will probably have a better experience of watching the movies in a theater than on a laptop screen this size, you know. And so our media consumption at home is very close to the experience you would have in a small movie theater. And this makes us also avoid using media to cope with life challenges. Very often we we know it because we have consumed media in the past like that you just turn on the TV in order to have something talking over what is going on in your mind. And obviously, we don't want it like that. We want our feelings to be felt. We want our experiences to be lived, and we don't want to dump down our experience of the world of life by media that we just turn on to cope with something that happened at work maybe, or maybe at school. And because there is a ritual of choosing, of putting the media into the player, pressing play, turning on the speakers, setting the volume, etc. There is a lot of friction, and so basically it's not a coping mechanism for us. And last, which is very important, this kind of media consumption is not stealing away our time, because a movie has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and at the end, the DVD player is not saying to you, hey, watch another movie, and you will be 2 hours more sleep deprived, if you do that. You might find this funny that Netflix told at some point that its biggest competitor is sleep, but it's actually true. If you start watching a series on Netflix, the series is prepared in such a way that you want to play the next episode, and also the next episode is served to you in such a frictionless manner. You have 3 seconds basically to go away. If not, it plays. That an adult person has a very big problem to press stop and go out of this experience, and a kid is completely lost basically. And so our media consumption has a beginning and a clearly defined end, and we find extreme value in that. So that's it for today. This is how we consume media in our family. If you have some questions about it, feel free to send an email to us with those questions at mail@digitalpragmatism.com, or you can also comment on YouTube. And we will answer, because we like answering questions. We actually love answering questions. If you have some good strategies how to be intentional with media consumption yourself, please share them with us. And see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Please do.
Chodź. To my wyszliśmy.